On everybody, it's Matt Ross and No Wolf. Just coming to you with a quick live, just giving you a quick brief update of what's going on. So yesterday, Paolo Lipita and Paolo left. They flew through Bogota, Colombia, and of course, the flight was delayed. They're supposed to be leaving Colombia at, oh geez, I want to say noon, 1 p.m. or so, and they ended up leaving at 12:05 midnight, because you know how Canada is. They can't keep any flights on time, which is always a shock to me. It's like, how come you can't have any flights on? Every time I've flown to Bogota, or I've flown to Cartagena, or I've flown to basically anywhere, but or in any country other than in Canada, it's on time. But if it's coming out of Canada, if it's going into Canada, it's always late. Anyways, I'm in Zona 1 now. I got a new Airbnb. I'm going to be here for a little while. I'm now in Zona 1 in Guatemala City, which is like it's more of a, I guess you would call it a yellow zone. So the last place I was in, which was Zona 10, which was, really high-end affluent area. Well, this place is more. It's got more monuments and stuff. I'll show you. I'm gonna do a little bit of a walk through some of the monuments. They have like the Guatemalan Plaza. It's a very popular place, and it's got a few more tourists, I would say. And typically, whether you're in Mexico or you're in wherever, Guatemala, or if you're in Colombia, it doesn't matter. Where the tourists are is where you're going to have a lot more of those crimes. So you got to be a little bit more careful in the yellow zone. So Zona 1, I'm going to be here for a little while. I'm going to check out a few things. I'm going to do some walking. I'm going to do some walking around, but it's quite a bit different. It's not as technically advanced as Zona 10 was, meaning. Zona 10 everything was pretty high-end, pretty affluent, beautiful malls, beautiful streets, beautiful condo buildings. Here it's a little older, and not as many things are as close and set up for. Zona 10 is more set up for a tourist, I would say, or for the tourists, because they have lots of like Americanized bars and just a lot of like when I popped into the bar there, I met some Americans from Arizona. And they were like pilots, but it's kind of where everybody kind of hangs out if they come from another country like America. So I'll be, anyways, that's fine. But I'll do some walkthroughs today to check out the area a bit. There's supposed to be some really cool little art bars and stuff like that here, so I'll be checking that out, and that's about it. Nothing crazy, but just doing just looking at some of the local sites. Going to explore my neighborhood a bit. It was pretty wild because I was out last night, like around, I want to say 7 p.m. and it got dark real quick, and because I don't know the streets, I haven't roamed the streets yet. Yesterday was my first time here. I don't know what to think, right? You go, there's not a lot of lights. So there's I'm not used to walking down streets at 7 or 8 or 9, 10 o'clock at night with no light. So, which is pretty crazy to me, with very little light, I should say, not no light. But yeah, so I gotta get to learn my surroundings a bit more here in Zona 1, just because, as I said, obviously, I'm gonna stick out a bit here personally, but just walk in your space, walk in your square, and walk like you're supposed to be there. That's the key. Is you can't walk with fear. You walk in your own shoes. You walk with your back up, with your chin out. Walk how you normally walk, but and just keep your eye out. And if you see anybody or anything strange, or if your intuition goes off in some way, when I'm traveling in Bogota, or I'm traveling in Cartagena or Medellin or whatever the case may be, if my intuition goes off, I instantly will pay attention to what's going on in my surroundings. And a lot of the times what I'll do is if I'm ever feeling not safe, for whatever reason, which is not a lot, but whenever it does happen, if I'm not feeling safe, I look for the first place I can just, like, whether it be a restaurant or a bar or a clothing place, and I just will dip right in there, sit down, order a beer, order something, get my kind of bearings, and make sure I feel better, and then once I feel better, either if I'm still not feeling good, I'll order an Uber if I can. So it's just, you got to pay attention to your intuition, and you can't be afraid. And that's the other thing too is, if people are sizing you up, you can't be afraid to look at them and look them in the eye and say, I see you. You can't be afraid to look over your shoulder. I think that's important too. You got to be, I know that sometimes in Canada it's rude to look over your shoulder and stare at somebody, but you got to get over that. Here, I don't have any issues with that. I don't fuck around. I let people know I know that they're there, and you know what? Sometimes I might come across as rude. That's not the goal, but I just want them to know I know you're there. So, that this is just some of the things I get, some of the tactics I use when I'm out and about, and I'm in a place where, you got to kind of be paying attention a little bit more. You got to walk with confidence. You got to walk with your back, shoulders up. You got to walk confident, and it's super important. If you're not walking confident, if you're not moving appropriately, people will see that. They'll notice that immediately. So you just got to walk with confidence. You can't be afraid to look people in the eye, and let them know you're there. And you can't be afraid to look over your shoulder. You have to, and you can't be worried about being rude. Oh, am I being rude by looking over my shoulder? You can't be. Those are things you don't need to worry about. So I'm going to do a little bit of a walk around here, and I don't like to go out until I walk around and I see what I'm doing, and I kind of see the different elements at play, and I see, okay, how are the vendors interacting with me? How are the people interacting with me? And like, I'll pay attention. Is there anybody that I'm noticing? Is there any groups of people that I'm noticing just because before I do a walk and talk, I just want to make sure that I have a good idea of my terrain. So if I'm going to bring out and I'm going to do a proper 30-minute walk and talk through this part of town or whatever the case may be, I'm going to gauge a few things. I'm going to go around, and before I do the walk and talk, I'm just going to get an idea of the surroundings of the area. I'm going to get an idea of the kind of people that are hanging out there. I'm getting an idea of how many police officers are there and how many security guards are there. I pay attention to all that stuff, and then once I know that and I'm feeling a lot more comfortable, then I'll head out there and I'll bring my equipment and I'll do a little bit of a walk and talk. But I like to scope my scene out first, just to have an idea of what's going on, and then once I do that and I'm feeling comfortable, then I'll roll. And it's just about, and a lot of the times what I'm doing is I'm just observing the environment. I'm observing how everybody's moving and how people are interacting and how people interact with me as I go. How's that going? And getting a gauge of what do the workers look like? What do the police officers look like? What do security guards look like? What do families just walking down the street look like? What do sketchy people look like, if there are sketchy people? And getting an idea of what kind of elements I need to pay attention to and watch out for. You can usually tell, okay, like I was walking down the street the other day and this guy was on the bike and he starts going like this. He's like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I know what that means, right? But it's like, yeah, stuff like that. And then I pay attention to that person. Where does he go? Who does he talk to? Who does he hang out with? And I'll just watch him. He was on a bike. And I'll just watch, okay, where is he going? And I'll watch, who does he talk to? And then I'll just kind of pay attention to, okay. And it gives you an idea, but yeah, you'll have situations like that. But for the most part, people have been really left me, haven't really said much to me, or other than buenos dias or buenas tardes or buenas noches. Have been very nice to me, very polite to me. Nobody's trying to sell me anything, but these are just little things, little tips for, if you're traveling. And I know a lot of my friends, I'm not sure how many people here travel, but when you're traveling, you got to be, you have to be able to stand in your own square, and you have to be able to show confidence. And as long as you do that, that's going to be pretty much the most important piece. And you need to pay attention to your environment. and I like to get a feeling of the environment before I'm going out at night and stuff like that, and get an idea of, okay, it's just little things. But I'm super excited to check out some of the stuff, some of the sites here. Super excited. There's a whole bunch of metal bars here, which is fucking hilarious. Apparently I'm in like the Guatemalan mecca for heavy metal. Zona One's got like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 metal bars, like Guatemalan heavy metal. So I'm going to be checking out one of those bars tonight. I don't know what was it called. I'll have to check, but it's some fucking crazy ass bar, metal bar. I walked by it yesterday, and it opens at 1 o'clock. So the metal bar opens at 1 p.m. So I don't know when the metal starts, so I'll find out. And then there's another place just up the street called Hades, which is another metal bar. And there's like another metal bar. I'm just like, how many heavy metal bars are there in Guatemala City in this zone? A lot. So very interesting. Lots of cool local foods I'm going to be checking out. They were cooking some barbecues and ribs the other day. I'm going to check that out. But yeah, that's about it. Quick update. So I'm going to come up with a few videos of kind of like the downtown Guatemalan kind of where their big beautiful government buildings are, the Plaza Square, I guess it would be called. This is where a lot of the history had occurred here in Guatemala, where they had the independence and just revolutions, and so many things have happened in this particular square. So there's a huge history in this square here in Guatemala. So I'm excited to check it out. But that's what I'm up to today. So I just wanted to make sure that I gave you a brief update as to what I'm doing. And I'm gonna take some videos. I'm gonna upload them here through the square, and then I'm gonna go to this heavy metal bar tonight. I forget what it's called. I'll remember. I gotta check. I wish I would have written it down. But yeah, man, can't wait. All right, I'm Matt Ross. I'm the Lone Wolf. Take care.